Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Pros podcast. I'm Kristen Knapp, and I'm here with Dan Eckelman, the owner of Dan Wealth Academy and very accomplished speaker as well. So we're going to get into a variety of topics that I'm very excited about. Thank you for being here, Dan.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so you're an accomplished speaker, you're an investor, you are an expert on tax lien. We have a lot to talk about, cryptocurrencies, so we got a lot of ground to cover. So let's start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Can you talk about your journey into real estate?
Yeah, well, I'm an international speaker. I've been for over 25 years. I graduated from the Ohio State University,
Okay.
for you football players out there, with a degree in law. But, heading down that path, 120,000 in debt and student loans, working for a law firm to put a cap on my salary wasn't my path. So I thought, well, what do I do? So I ended up starting a factoring company with another local attorney, factoring of invoices, accounts receivable financing. We built that up to a couple million a month for a small law firm. We're pretty happy with that. Kept getting calls from brokers all over the country, all trained by the Open University out of Orlando. I called them and said, who are you guys? They said, well, we teach brokers how to broker privately held notes, like invoices, structural settlement lawsuits, biaticals, insurance policies, mortgage notes, business loans, lotteries, sports contracts. There's about 60 plus income streams like that, where people are getting paid money over time, but they want a lump sum of cash today at a discount. It's called a privately held note. No different than a credit card transaction. You own a business, take a credit card, you're going to take a little bit less, but you get your money now. And they teach brokers how to find those deals and to send them to companies like mine to fund the deals. I said, well, thank you for all that. And they said, hey, by the way, we have a training class in the United States and Canada every weekend. Would you like to teach? We'll give you half a day of the 3 days, talk about invoice financing. I said, sure, if it gets me more deals. So they kept booking me every single weekend. And after a few months, they said, hey, you're a great speaker. We like to speak on the front end. I said, well, what's that? They said, well, we'll pick a city like New York City. We'll go 2 weeks prior to the training, plaster the TV with a 30-minute infomercial all week long to get people to come to the show. You go there and hit the north, south, east, west side of the city. 1 show Sunday, 2 Monday, 2 Tuesday, 1 Wednesday, 6 shows a week, 90 minutes a show. Talk about privately held notes and sign them up in the training class. I said, sure, sounds like fun to me. So for the next 13 years, 51 weeks out of the year, every week but Christmas, I'm on a plane. 4 days a week, 6 speeches a week on privately held notes. But I was in my early 30s when I started speaking, and immediately pulling in $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 a year in income. I mean, who knew? Then I started speaking on grants and scholarships, then got back into real estate and started speaking on what are called tax lien certificate investing or property tax investing. I became very well known in the speaking world and the real estate world across the country. And that's when I got a call from Donald Trump to come on board at Trump University as one of their top real estate speakers. And regardless of what anybody thinks, likes, or dislikes about Trump or his programs, tax liens have been in our country for over 300 years, since before our Constitution. It's a phenomenal investment. Trump puts his name on it as a draw to get people to come to the show. So I was doing an event once for Trump in LA. An investor from New Zealand flew up. He said, this is phenomenal. Can we do this from New Zealand? I said, you can do it from anywhere in the world you want to. We have 3,000 counties in the United States. Trust me when I tell you, any one of our counties will sell you a tax lien. So I said, bring your talk to New Zealand. I left Trump organization. I private labeled a tax lien course with another attorney out of Texas. I put my label on it.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Went to New Zealand with it. Did a 14-city tour in 14 days, north to South Island, New Zealand, and sold $1 million in my training class in 2 weeks. I mean, the whole country knows me. Then went to Sydney, Australia the next weekend while I was on that side of the world. Sold another $500,000 to Real Estate Group. And then I started realizing, wait a minute, I could take this anywhere. I don't need Trump's name behind it. I don't need a brand at all. I can take it anywhere in the world. So I started becoming well known in the international speaking circuits. That's when I got a call from Richard and Veronica Tan of Success Resources out of Singapore, largest seminar company in the world. And they became my international promoters. They put me on stage with Tony Blair, Robert Kiyosaki, Jordan Belfort, Wolf of Wall Street, Mark Victor Hansen, Chicken Soup Books, Robert Allen, Laura Langmeyer, Spike Cummer on the biggest stages in the world with the biggest speakers in the world, speaking to 5, 10, 20,000 people. Bodyguards, drivers, red carpets, dinners, the whole works. A big international run there.
That's incredible. I mean, I want to definitely get into the tax lien part of it, but
Yeah, sure.
before we get there, how it like, because you were a broker and then you were just kind of thrust into the spotlight. What was that like? Like, it seems like it was very natural for you to build your speaking career.
Yeah, it was pretty natural. It was pretty natural they asked me if I wanted to teach on the back end. And I said, sure, teach about tax liens. So I said, yeah, I mean, not tax liens, but privately held notes and invoice financing. I said, sure. I mean, you know the most about yourself. That's number one. Number two, you know the most about what you do for a living. That's number two. Anybody can talk about yourself or talk about what you do for a living. So that's what I did. And that's when they said, hey, after a few months, you're a good speaker. You like speak on the front end. So what they did was they said, here's a 167-page script. Memorize it word for word, which is not the way to do it. Anybody wanting to learn how to speak from the stage, don't do that. But they had to say that from a compliance standpoint. Yes, I read it, I wrote it, I typed it, I recorded it, I listened to it, I spoke it. Every sense in my body, I could put it in my brain. And then they said, okay, are you ready? I said, no, never will I ever be ready. No actor does this ever. That's 167 pages, crazy. I said, well, just do it. We're going to book Dallas, Texas for you as your first show, and just go do it. If you bomb, go back and start teaching again. So they booked me to Marriott. Yeah, they booked me to Marriott Anatol, my first show, and I got up and I started speaking. And then suddenly, as I was going through it, they cut me off, and the owners were there, managers were there, the crew was there. So I wrapped it up. People went up in the back and signed up. We had a powwow afterwards, and they go, that was unbelievable. You signed up more than any of our speakers that are currently that are veterans with our you've done better than anybody ever began to speak, let alone the ones that currently work for us for years. I go, whoa, wait a minute. You cut me off. Well, it's supposed to be a 90-minute speech. You're already at 2 hours and 20 minutes. You're still talking. So what that told me is the power of our own mind, that if we push ourselves a little bit further, go a little bit beyond, kind of like an iceberg, if you will, 10% of it's taken out of the water. That's what most people's level of accomplishment will ever be at that level. Really? Lower that water, it's 90% below the water. Lower that water line by 5%, you've just increased your ability to accomplish anything by 50%. So you just have to go a little bit further and push a little bit further.
Absolutely. I mean, you sound like kind of a master salesman. What are some sales techniques that you can share with people?
Well, it is funny you say that, because let me get on my seat and share this with you. When I was in Sydney, Australia, right here, a book called Millionaire, and it says here, written by Steve McKnight and Stu Silver, and it says, then a guy named Dan Eckelman gave a presentation at propertyinvesting.com annual Millionaire Mega Conference. If there's a better salesman on planet Earth, I'd like to meet him.
There you go.
Right? So yeah, I'm pretty good at sales, and I do it from the stage. Number one closing technique when it comes to sales is ask for it. always has been, number one closing technique, always will be. Just ask for it.
Yeah. Explain that a little bit more.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Well, if okay, for example, if I'm talking on my taxing services, my course, and people get up and they sign up and they go to the back, then pretty much just ask them, um, to get enrolled, ask for it. You have to ask for them to do it because some people are on the fence and they don't know what to do. And so the objections are just phenomenal that people have, so when it
Yeah.
comes to sales like that, and they'll come with every objection in the book, you just have to kind of tell them what to do and ask for it. How can I help you get enrolled today? And then as they start telling me, I stop them after the first 3 words and I say, stop. Before I answer your question, if I answer your question satisfactorily, will you be getting enrolled today? Period.
Yeah.
If they say no, then I'm going to go on to somebody else. I'm going to come back to you in a little bit. If they say yes, as soon as I answer that question satisfactorily, and what they're going to do is they're going to give their life story. Well, back in 1956 when I started, no. What's your question? Well, I really started, no. What's your question? Get them to ask that question, and then now, let's get you enrolled. And then you just have to control the situation, especially when it comes to sales.
And I think another thing that you just demonstrated is also the power of silence, the power of asking a question and shutting up, which I have a problem with.
Yeah.
I think that that's a really important sales technique that a lot of people miss.
Yeah. Well, there's the yes or no close, which was that. Then there's the either or close. Will you be enrolling in this level or this level? And then they have to choose one of the two. So there's plenty of different closing techniques out there. This one guy said, well, I don't have the money. I said, you don't have the money with you or you don't have it at all? He goes, well, I don't have it at all. I go, all right, here's a briefcase with $1 million. You got 1 hour, go get me $3,000. Could you get it? Oh, of course I could. Hold on. You just said you didn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
Just overcoming their objections. They're stuck. You got to overcome that with them. And once you overcome that mindset with them, okay, you got me on that one. Or the good one is I have to ask my spouse. We don't make any decisions without each other. I go, here's the keys right here in my pocket to red Ferrari right outside the door of this hotel for $3,000. It's yours. You have to ask your wife. He goes, nope. Let's get you enrolled.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just sales is fun, but you really have to know how to do it, and you learn how to do it by their objections. Then they become the same objections over and over and over again, and you just have to learn how to have them overcome. Just get over that stump. Get over that.
Yeah.
Head.
And I think a lot of people stop at just rejection in general. I think people are very scared of rejection, and that keeps people from even asking the questions, like you said.
Absolutely. The thing I do when I speak is obviously in speaking, and when you're building a speech, there's a science to it. The delivery is the art. But what I do is a value proposition leads up to the price point, and then I do a take action close. So at the end of my presentation, I'm going to say, how many people in this room, by this time, I use a lot of neuro-linguistic programming and Pavlov's cognitive theory of behavior. So when I raise my hand, they raise their hand. When I'm nodding my head, they nod their head. I've already conditioned to do that all throughout my presentation. Mm-hmm. At the end, my call to action is I say, how many people in this room feel you could be successful investing in taxing certificates? If you had someone phenomenally successful, take you by the hand, walk you down this path, put this kind of money in your pocket. Who wants that level of success? And my hand goes up higher, and theirs goes up. I say, if your hands up, stand up. If your hands up, stand up, because they're going to do what you tell them to do. They stand up, and I go, the first 15 to go to the back of the room, get enrolled, get a bonus. Go now. There goes 1. There goes 2. And they start running as fast as they can. They're knocking chairs over. They're falling down. They're throwing their credit cards. And it's just a tactic, but it's really a learned you're conditioning them all throughout your presentation.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole nother podcast about public speaking.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. And I bet it's hard to sell you on something. You can sniff out everything.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So let's get into tax liens. You're a big
Sure.
expert on it and you've educated so many people about it. I
Yeah.
think it's an area of real estate that people aren't super familiar in. Yeah, just break down what it is, why
Sure.
people should get involved in this.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Absolutely. Well, if you own a piece of property in the United States of America, you owe property tax. If you don't pay your property taxes when they're due, you're going to get a certified letter from the county stating you're in default. The county will then take that property tax debt that you owe them. They're going to turn it into what's called a tax lien certificate. They then take that certificate and they sell it in the open market. Anybody in the world can invest in tax lien certificates in any one of our counties and any one of our states. It's a sale conducted by a government agency of tax liens for delinquent taxes on real estate. There are three parties involved to a tax lien sale or any tax lien. There's a property owner who's defaulted on their property tax. There's the county who has pretty much filed a lien on the property and created the tax lien certificate. And there's the investor, which is you. Three parties: the property owner, the government, and you. Now, these tax liens are typically sold at auctions all throughout the United States, and every county has a different auction in each and every state. Some of them are biannually, some of them are even annually, where there's different bidding techniques that they go through when they have these auctions. There's one called random bidding. You sign up, your name pops up in the computer randomly, and it's your turn to bid. We have bid down the interest. So in Ohio, it's 18%. They're going to say, who wants it at 18%? The hands go up. Who wants it 17 and a half, 17, 15, 14? You bid down the interest, and whoever's hand is left, that's what they get it for. And there's also they upbid it based on the on the tax lien certificate value itself. Who wants it for $500? Who wants it for 550, 600, 700, 800? You increase the value of it and buy it that way. But it's all done at auctions. But what I teach people how to do, because those auctions are typically attended by banks, many banks, and then we sit there and watch them go through the auction and take up all the good stuff, the expensive stuff, and then whatever's left is for the individual investor that can afford the smaller ones. Because you can invest in tax lien certificates in any size, any dollar amount, in any county, any state, anywhere in the world, or anywhere in the country. It's mandated by the state, backed by federal government, and collateralized by real estate. There's your three pluses right there. 16 to 25% return on your money. You can win out over the institutional investors, which are the bankers. And what I do is I teach people how to buy them before and after the sale. There's something called, each and every county has at the recorder's office, what's called assignment of purchase. It's a book, because not everybody's going to default on their taxes all at once. And they say, okay, it's the end of the year, nobody's paid. So now at the very end of the year, we're going to have these auctions. Well, they fall delinquent all throughout the year, right? So if they have a tax lien certificate auction in February, the people who defaulted in March, April, May, June, so on and so forth, all the way to January the next year, then they're going to add them all together and they're going to put them in the auction. However, at those auctions, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of tax liens at all different levels and all different sizes, backed by all different types of property. They don't sell all of them. They don't sell a smidgen of them. Then the other investors, single investors, can bid on them as well, but can bid anytime depending on how much money you have. But they go into what's called assignment of purchase. So what we teach people how to do is go right to the county and buy one directly from the county, right from the assignment of purchase book. Get online and buy them directly. You don't need to wait for the auction.
Got it. So you're not going to the auctions.
Right. Teach them how to buy before and after the sale, which has how to invest with a short-term or a long-term goal. So in tax liens, you can invest in a short-term goal to create residual income or keep it for the long term. Right. And then how to purchase them basically online, all from the comfort of your own home. So again, this process of illustration of how it works is the homeowner doesn't pay their property tax. The county sells a tax lien to an investor, like you, for example. The property owner pays the government all the money that they paid plus interest on their property, plus penalty on their property for paying it late, then you just made 200% than any bank account's ever going to pay you more, you know? So this is what I love about it. You, the investor, have complete 100% control of your investment. That's why I like it. You get to choose the type of jurisdiction you want to invest in. You can invest in any county, any state. It doesn't matter where you live anywhere in the world. Any one of our counties, any one of our states will say a tax lien. You get to choose the size of the lien. And I don't care how much it is. There are liens out there for $1 million plus, for 100,000, 1,000, 10,000. $10, it doesn't really matter. They're out there. And then you get to choose the type of property you want as collateral. Before you invest in that tax lien, you'll do due diligence on the property. You will know every single thing about that property before you invest $1. And we teach how to do that properly. Obviously, again, fair market value, right? Location, location, location. Same thing for tax liens. Obviously, you don't want to buy a tax lien on top of an Indian burial ground, on top of a toxic waste dump in a farmer's field, 100 miles off the road, because you end up owning it. Then you got to pay property taxes on it. What are you going to do with it? You can't sell it, right? And then, so you get to choose the interest rate you want as well, because every single state in the United States of America has a different interest rate mandated by that state. Like I said, Ohio's 18%. Florida's 18%. Phoenix is, or Arizona's 24%. Illinois is 36%. So it's just different, in different states and in different states all throughout the country. So St. Louis, 18% return on your money. And so I think it was in 2016, if I'm correct, that roughly $11.8 billion of property taxes in that year alone, I haven't done a lot of research since, were not collected. We're not paid. So there's so much left over out there. Anybody can invest in these. So if we take a city or a country like a state like Iowa, and Iowa's 24% return. So let's say we have a guy named Bob, and Bob owns a piece of property worth $250,000, and that's the fair market value. He owes $1,800 of property taxes. His mortgage is $175,000, his first mortgage. Now, the investor, Mike, comes along and he says, hey, Bob defaults on his property taxes. So here's the thing about tax liens. The property owner always only deals with the county. The investor always only deals with the county. The investor never talks to the homeowner and vice versa. So Bob owns this property for $250 million. He defaulted on his property taxes at $1,800. Mike comes along and says, okay, there's a certificate here for $1,800, 24%. So Mike contacts the county. He buys a certificate. So what he's doing, he's paying the property tax for Bob exactly what he owes to the county of $1,800. And then he owns that certificate. And he gets about a 600% more return than any other bank account's going to give him on something like that. So now, every single state has what's called a redemption period or a grace period. And in a grace period, such as Ohio, is a one-year redemption period, which means the property owner has a year to catch up and pay their property taxes. The principal that they owe, the tax that they owe, plus penalty mandated by that state, plus the interest rate mandated by the state, and the penalties also that the state requires. And as soon as the property owner pays what they owe, plus penalty and interest, then the county just sends the check to you right to your mailbox, because you've already paid for them. You've already paid it. The county just wants their money. They got to keep that cash flow running. Now, 92% of the people who default on their property taxes will pay. 92% is going to pay. But there's the beauty of this is you, the principal, or you, the investor, receive your principal and interest if the property owner doesn't pay their property taxes back. Well, first of all, if they pay it back within that certain redemption period, each and every state has a different redemption period. And they have a certain amount of time to catch up and pay their property taxes. And they have to pay the principal, they got to pay the interest, they got to pay the penalties mandated by that state. Then as soon as they do that and pay the county just remits a check right to your mailbox. And you just made over 600% of your money, or 24-36 more than a bank will pay you. So anywhere from 24-36% return on your money on tax liens per annum, of course. And that's the redemption period. Now, 92% will end up paying their property taxes by the end of the redemption period. If their property taxes are $2,500, probably they're not going to lose their $250,000 house for $250, $2,500. They're going to pay the property taxes. So 92% will pay. Then you, the investor, receive your principal and interest when the property owner catches up and pays their property taxes. Now, there's a lien, there's a statute out there. Every state has a different language to it, but I'm going to kind of recite a statute to you. It's the most important thing of investing in tax liens to understand it. The tax lien takes priority over the claim of any person whose property is encumbered by the tax lien and over the claim of the holder of the lien on the property, whether or not the lien existed before the attachment of the tax lien. Like blah, 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 blah. Legal, legal, legal. So let me explain to you what that means. Let's say you go out and you buy a piece of property. You owe a mortgage on that property, obviously. The bank's going to put a lien on your property if you have a mortgage, right? Not total cash up front, but you have a mortgage on it. They're going to put a lien on your property. They're in first lien position. Let's say that you then go out and a couple of years ago, you want to build a swimming pool. So you go out and you borrow against your equity and or refi it, and you get a $100,000 loan against the equity of your property. There's going to be that mortgage institution, and whether it is the same one or not, they're going to put a lien on your property. They're in second lien position by law. So lien positioning is all dictated by date. Whoever files up a lien first is in first lien position. Whoever files second lien position, third lien position, so on and so forth. Now, if you invest in a tax lien certificate on that piece of property, you automatically, by law, jump into a first lien position ahead of the bank, ahead of the mortgage, ahead of the roofer, the landscaper, and even the IRS. You're in a first lien position by law, which means at that point, in order for property to transfer free and clear, all liens have to be cleared, obviously. So at that point, you now have the if the property owner, here's the kicker, if the property owner does not pay their property taxes by the end of that redemption period, what happens to that $175,000 mortgage? Any guesses? Bye-bye bank, bye-bye loan, bye-bye mortgage. You now own that property, that $250,000 property for $1,800 that Bob owned, and the property is all yours.
Wow. So
Now,
there's very little risk.
there's no risk. There's no risk. Two things are going to happen. You're either going to get the property, or you're going to get your money back with penalty and interest. Period. There's no in between here. Now, the only risk, if you want to put risk to it, is what I said earlier. Make sure it's good, fair, marketable real estate, right? But you don't invest in tax liens to own the property. It's kind of like win the lottery a little bit. There's ways to do that, which we can teach you how to do that and what properties to go after. But you're buying it to get a return on your money. Tax deeds, a separate issue there. About half the states are tax liens, half are sell tax deeds. About 7 states out there sell both of them. A tax deed is different than you own the property. But tax liens, just do it to get the return on your money and on your principal, interest, and penalties back in your pocket. And now, let's say there are two of the liens underneath that property you bought. Now you can foreclose on it. Now, if you want to foreclose on it, then it might take a couple thousand to foreclose on it, hard attorney to do so. But you're getting property $250,000 value for $1,800. But you have to clear those other liens in order to foreclose on it, to have free and clear title to the property, and then it's all yours. Now, let's say that you buy the tax lien certificate on that same property, and let's say this, and you don't want to foreclose on it. You're set on your first lien position anyway. The second year comes up, the county will call you because you're in first lien position. They're going to say, hey, the property owner did not pay the property taxes in the second year. You bought the tax lien in the first year. Therefore, you get what's called first right of refusal on the second year. Do you want to buy it? Now, why would I do that? I'm in first lien position anyway, right? So the second person, whoever has a second lien on the mortgage, they might want to buy it in case I decide not to. So let's say that they buy it. They're going to get their money back anyway, because again, I have to clear those liens. So if they buy that, if they buy that tax lien certificate in the second year and I decide to pass on it, then they're going to get their money back. They're not going to get the property, but they're going to get their money back because I have the ability to foreclose on it. Unless I say, no, I don't really want a property in Phoenix, Arizona, or in this case, Iowa, where we talked about. I want a piece of property. I can go kick it across my neighborhood or whatever. I don't want it. I don't want to deal with the foreclosure. I don't want to deal with the attorneys and doing all that and rehabbing, whatever I have to do to it. I'll just take my money. Then it goes to the next lien position holder. They get their money back, or they get to foreclose on the property, so on and so forth. It keeps going down the line like that. And that's how that's the tax lien certificate investing for you. And so
Wow.
you own the property free and clear.
And then, so when you're, buying these tax liens, you're really only holding for a year. You only have to really wait for a year, right?
No, no, not at all. One of my friends, he's an attorney. He went to office, the recorder's office, and he said, "Let me see a book of assignment of purchase." He bought a tax lien. So you've got 24 hours to 48, I think 48 hours, to actually give them the money, right? And the very next day, the property owner paid the property taxes.
Oh, wow. So
he made
a
money
year
and
max then.
well, a year max. But again,
Yeah.
understand it's per annum. So what's that mean? Which means that if they pay their property taxes in the first day, you're getting like 24% divided by 365 days for one day. If they don't pay for 365 days, you're buying the very last day, you're getting all your 24%, like in Iowa, for example, right? But let's talk about residual income. Let's say that you want to create residual income on this on a short-term cycle. So if there's a redemption period of 1 year, like in Ohio for 1 year, they have 1 year to catch up and pay the property taxes. When you can go online and you can see when they first defaulted and how old that tax lien certificate is, if you want your money back in 30 days, when would you buy it? In the 11th month, in the beginning of the 12th month, because within 30 days, you're going to get your money back or you're going to get the property.
Yeah.
There's no in between there. So
Right.
if you get your money back, which typically you do on tax liens instead of the property, to get your money back, now every 30 days, what do you do with your principal? Once you get your money back, put it right back in another one.
Right.
Keep putting it back in and let it build, let it grow, and earn compound interest daily. That's what money does. You got to let it grow.
That's
So the
amazing.
property owner, yeah. So property owner has more time to catch up and pay on the property taxes. The county, they get paid by the investor to pay for roads and schools and libraries and local services and police departments and whatnot. You, the investor, get a huge return on your money, or you end up owning the property free and clear. Why isn't everybody doing this? I knew that was going to be your next question.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows about it. Have you ever heard of tax liens before?
No, I haven't.
You know, it's so funny. You know, when I speak to a group, I say, how many people in this room went to college? Most everybody raises their hand. They say, how many people are currently working in your major field of study? It's about 3 or 4 out of 100. I say, what don't they teach us in school? And it's a leading question, which is a game buy and response. I know they're going to answer it in other words. I said, what don't they teach us in school? Someone always will say, how to make money. And I say, what if you have it? What if you don't have it? How to manage it, how to budget it, how about your checkbook, how to do your taxes, how to shelter taxes, how to start a business or invest in anything. Yet when we graduate, on whatever level we graduate from, what do we have to be the best at? Making money. They don't teach us this stuff in school. Nobody knows about it. Plus, if you hear about tax liens, tax is a scary word, liens is a scarier word. Put them together side by side, you're going to run from that. you know.
Totally.
So again, it goes back to what I said earlier. You just have to be knowledgeable and teach yourself. You know, so we teach when we teach the course on how to invest in. We teach the investors how to invest in smaller counties, because at those auctions, the bankers are going after the bigger counties, right? We went to smaller ones. We teach how to buy smaller liens. The banks are going after 250,000 and above. We teach how to buy in smaller ones. We teach you how to buy them collateralized by non-homestead properties as well as homestead properties. The difference is homestead, somebody lives there. Excuse me, non-homestead, nobody lives there. So, you know, because I get that question a lot. Well, I don't want to kick anybody out of their home and foreclose on it, right?
Right.
Then don't buy one where somebody lives there.
Right.
Buy one that they've already left. Because if they're not paying on their mortgage, they're defaulting on their mortgage. Well, also they're defaulting on their property taxes.
Yeah.
So if they now are in the process of losing their home because they haven't paid, they're leaving anyway. And you can actually go help them. And there's ways to do that. Well, let me come back to that. Obviously, you can go buy tax liens on raw land, commercial property, vacant land, vacant warehouses, whatever you want, to not really foreclose on anybody. But if you foreclose on somebody, you can buy it. Look what we just did in that example of Iowa. $250,000 property we owned for $1,800. Now you go back to the homeowner and you say, now I'm in first name position. I'm foreclosing your property. Now I'm going to offer a lease with an option to buy right back to you so you can afford to stay in your home. I mean, you've already made, even if you double your money, oh my gosh, even if you make, $3,600, you're doubling your money. And,
Yeah.
and that's, and you own the whole property worth $250,000. You could cut that in half and say, I'm going to sell back to you for $125.
Wow.
And guess what? They'll be able to afford that and stay in their
Yeah.
home. And you still made a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah.
You bought it for $1,800. You're selling for $125,000, half the price. You still made a lot of money. And we teach how to do the proper due diligence all online before you invest in, and all the online bidding strategies to get it done. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Talk about your website, like where people can find you.
yeah, sure. They can go to danewealth.com. So Dane, which is Dan, my first name, and E, my last initial, Dan E, danewealth.com. And you can learn about tax liens there and take a look at different courses and what's available to invest in tax liens.
Awesome. And
It's a home study. It's a home study course.
I
Yeah.
wrote down Dane Wealth, and I was like, oh, I wrote that wrong. It's a typo. It's Dan Wealth. So Dane
Well,
Wealth.
it's Dan E,
Yeah, with an E.
which is
Yes.
pronounced Dane,
Now I
which is
get
my
it.
first name and last initial. Because everybody goes, "What's Dane?" I go, "My first name and last initial." And, oh, I get it. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, this has been so educational. I feel like I learned a lot. I want to hop into tax liens now. So I think you inspired a lot of people to get into this form of investing. And I encourage everybody to please check out his website. Please, look into coaching, because this is something you can really do. An easy way to build wealth without a lot of capital, without a lot of holding period.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you about a tax lien certificate for $1. $1. It's raw land. And in Colorado, the guy bought it because they're assignable. So a guy bought it and he decided he didn't want to foreclose on it. So he said, well, I don't want to pay taxes on it. I'm just going to get rid of it and offer it up for $1.
Wow.
So it doesn't matter whatever dollar amount that you have.
Right.
Obviously, how much money are you going to make on a dollar, right?
Right.
But whatever dollar amount you have, you want to just throw $1,000 at it, $500 at it. They're out there, $50, whatever you want, thousands of dollars, whatever you have. They're tax liens of all sizes, all over the place.
Wow. That's incredible to know. Well, thank you so much for coming and educating us on this. It's been so inspirational, and I know that a lot of people found a lot of value from it.
Oh, you're welcome, and get a hold of us. I think there's on our website, there's an email if you want to send us a message. I'm happy to answer any questions or do a Zoom call with anybody to teach them a little bit more about it if they're interested and want to know more about it before they do get involved in investing. We're here to help.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. And thank you, everybody, for listening. And we'll see you next time.
All right, thanks so much. Have a good day.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.